Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Hope it was a great weekend for you. We're going to make it even better today with a fun trip report. We're headed out to Utah with listener Andrew. And boy, do we have a fun trip report for you today. Andrew talks to us about his background growing up out in the western part of the United States. He kind of grew up around Disneyland. So we talk about his favorite memories of Disneyland and what they're doing right out there, his favorite attractions, his favorite dining experiences out there. And then we talk about a first-time experience in 2019 running the Dopey Challenge down at Walt Disney World with his family. His brothers-in-law and some of his other family members came and ran some of the other various races. Give some great advice on those races for those of you that are getting ready to tackle that big challenge in 2025. And then we dive into his trip and we talk about heading down to Florida to see his daughter play in a soccer showcase, but he combined that into a Walt Disney World vacation where they went, super hard into the theme parks. They were there at rope drop. They were the first people there at the gates. They were there till the parks closed. They used Genie Plus. They stayed at Caribbean Beach so they could take advantage of the Skyliner for transportation purposes. We talk about so much fun stuff. We talk snacks. We talk table service dining. We talk counter service. You are going to love today. The show's a little bit long because honestly, I couldn't stop talking to Andrew about how much fun this trip was. So strap in, get ready. We're headed to Walt Disney World here on today's show. Of course, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan the next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. You know where it is. All the details right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link to beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys are our all-stars, so thank you again for that. You can support us as well, just $5 a month, and you'll get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. We'd love your support coming over this week. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2470 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. And this Monday, hey, no eclipse today. I know, last Monday we were all outside looking up at that big old sun and waiting for the moon to sneak in there between the earth and the sun. And we're all like, whoa, that's awesome. Some of us were in totality. I was so close, 99% here in St. Louis. And it was pretty awesome. I got to see that with my dog, Riley. She was like, what's going on? Why do you keep staring at the sun? And then I posted a picture on Instagram and Paige, who's Riley's mom, it's her dog. I'm just kind of watching her as she's up in Chicago. She's like, scolded me because I didn't put glasses on the dog. And then I had explained to Paige that the sun is out every day and Riley doesn't stare at the sun any of the other 364 days of the year. And she's probably okay. And Riley really wasn't observing the sun herself during the eclipse. So we're all good. So this day on Monday, don't look up at the sun. It's just going to be a normal day, no eclipse. But you know what we have for you today? We have a great trip report. We're going to have fun. So let's make it an awesome Monday. So joining us today, we're heading out to Utah, one of the most beautiful places, not only in the United States, but the world, in my opinion. We're going to be talking with Andrew. Andrew, thanks for coming on the show. Happy Monday.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Looking forward to it.
All right. So how are things out west this time of the year? I bet this is one of the better times of the year to maybe visit your part of the country.
It is. It's great. We had a really great winter, a lot of snow. So there's actually a lot of spring skiing still going on. And, Southern Utah is famous for their national parks and, it's a great time to go because it's not the heat of the summer. So it is nice. Sometimes, spring in Utah is winter in Utah. You get a huge degree of like I said, it's supposed to be 70s in the next couple of days, but then drop to the 40s in a few days. So it just is. It sounds like Missouri's the same, but it's a roller coaster of weather. The spring is nice. Fall is nice as well.
Total thing here. Mother Nature just plays games with you. This weekend, It was warm. You're tempted to pull that top off the Jeep if you're like me. But if I do, I'm telling you what, man, it'll be, we call it here in the Midwest, the third winter. You'll enter the third winter, and then, it'll be the high of 42, and it'll just rip it right out from under you when you think you're only wearing shorts for the rest of the summer. So, we'll just hang in there. Anyway, so you are out in the western part of our country. So I'm guessing, as I kind of want to get your background and your Disney fandom, it's going to be more Disneyland based earlier. Am I correct there? So how does this all start for you?
Yeah, so it is. I started at Disneyland. So the first time I visited Disneyland was when I was 4. And it was a trip that will always be indelibly imprinted on my mind. It was a great trip. And one of the reasons why it was special to me was I was with my family, including my dad. I lost my dad a few years later in my life. And so my memories with him there are actually pretty special. And I distinctly remember Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. As a 4-year-old, I think I was petrified on those attractions. But I was with my dad. And once, that trip was over, I remembered vividly many memories of that trip. I don't know if you remember, Mike, back in the day, the viewfinders that were like the little, you put the little cartridge of slides of pictures in.
100%.
We left Disneyland. We bought some of those to remember the park by. And I remember going home and watching reel after reel of especially Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. I was obsessed. I just couldn't get enough of it. And so that kind of began my interest in Disney. And then I've always loved roller coasters. I've always loved theme parks. We didn't go to Disneyland very often. It wasn't until I was a teenager that we went again. But I had a great interest in all of that. And then when I got married, I married into a family. My wife's family are huge Disneyland fans. And so it was an awesome combination. We started going to Disneyland more often once we started having kids. Obviously, you start viewing things through your kids' eyes. And so Disneyland took on a whole new meaning to me once I had kids and started experiencing it through their eyes. And so we became big fans of Disneyland. There's a couple years we got annual passes to coincide with kids' athletic trips and things like that. But most of the time we try and go, once a year or so. My history with Walt Disney World is a little bit different. We went early on, shortly after I was married, with my wife, and it was around the Millennium Celebration. Oh. First time I've been to Disney World, and I loved it. And it's a little bit harder for us to get to Disney World. So that's something that it was more like in every 4 or 5 years type of thing. But when we get a chance to go to Disney World, I really love it because I love being in that bubble. But that's kind of my evolution of where I am now. Love both resorts. Obviously, Disneyland's closer, so we go there more often. And I love both. But I guess you could say that Disneyland's my home park and one that I've been to more often and love a lot.
So you intrigue me with a lot of the things you just said right now. So I'm going to kind of jump in before we get to the trip because I want to ask you about a couple of these things. One of the things is, to me, I think my best period for Walt Disney World is that time around the Millennium Celebration. I still look back most fondly during that time, 99 to like 2001. It was special, and everything that was based kind of around Epcot, with like the illuminations and Tapestry of Nations parade, and just how, I don't know, it just felt just right. Even the Magic Kingdom, the whole everything, even downtown Disney, because it wasn't Disney Springs yet. The in-room TV with Carissa, and then moving over to Stacy. Everything with the Ultimate Park Hopper instead of Magic Your Way tickets, everything felt to me right back in those days. And again, I was younger. I had less responsibility back then. It was where I was in my life too. It wasn't just probably, one variable. It was a multitude of variables. But man, I loved that time period. So when you said that, I was like, God, that really is resounding to me.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because, and you probably remember this. I think you've talked about this, but when I fell in love with Disney World during that time, Epcot was such a focus of that. And you mentioned a couple of different things. One is Illuminations, Reflections of Earth. and Tapestry of Nations. And when we were there, we bought the CD
Mm-hmm.
for the celebration, and the music from those, specifically those two things. That's probably some of the best Disney music for any kind of entertainment, nighttime, daytime, it doesn't matter. And I know you're a runner. I remember putting this music on. Remember those old iPod shuffles? I
Oh
used to
yeah.
run with those all the time, and I'd put that music on, whether I was racing or just running, around, and it was some of the my favorite music to run to. It just is iconic, and I love that period, like you said, and that's when I really fell in love with Disney World, is because of that bubble and that all the entertainment, all the music. Um, Having been to Epcot, that was my first time being in Epcot. I loved it, and so like you said, those were great memories. And whenever I hear the music, it takes me back.
Same, because I bought the CD too, and I had multiple copies of it. I've always said if I was, they always say like if you're stranded on an island, and you only got one CD or one,
Yeah,
they always ask you that situation. That is the CD I would have. That is
absolutely.
my one CD. It's the Illumination slash Tapestry of Nations CD, and it's so much so that when I was a sixth grade teacher, that I played that CD every single day to my sixth graders
Wow.
because we did. Is the kids came in from recess because they'd always be wound up, right? I mean, I would have been too as a sixth grader when I came in from recess after lunch and recess. I put that on because we had 30 minutes of a kind of like a. They took restroom breaks by little pods. They sat like in groups of four, so they'd take little restroom breaks and they would silent read during that time. But that CD played every single day, so I guarantee you, there's like 30 kids in St. Louis that know that music. If they hear it, they're like, man, Mr. Rallman played that song 180 times
That's so
when
cool.
I was 12. So that they might, and they know where it is because I used to talk to them about the theme parks all the time because some of them got to go, not all of them did because of circumstances, but I try to give them experiences as much as possible, even if they're virtual. I tried to like show them videos and brought brochures back, and we did lessons and stuff like map reading instead of regular maps. We did park maps and stuff like that, so it was fun. Anyway, so real quick though, right now as far as Disneyland, what are your favorite things out there? And then we'll jump into your trip report because you have a history that, by the way, Viewmaster is what that thing's called, and you need to look up on eBay because I bet you could get one. But
Those are the best.
those
The
things
best.
are awesome because I listen to a lot of retro podcasts and those things are super cool. But no, what do you think Disneyland's doing the best right now? Like when you go out there, what do you like? What are your favorites?
Oh boy. So yeah, the list is long, right?
I
I would
love
say that
Disneyland so much right now.
as far as the classic attractions, obviously Pirates is great because it is a little bit longer than, well, a lot longer than Magic Kingdom
Yes.
version. It is iconic, right? It's great. Love Haunted Mansion and the Haunted Mansion Holiday Overlay, which you've talked about. It's so cool.
Shocked me.
It's great. Um, as far as the classics, the other classics go, I love Big Thunder Mountain. I love riding that at night.
Mhm.
And one time when we went with my wife and my two brothers-in-law and their spouses, we were riding Big Thunder Mountain at night when the fireworks were going off, and that was like unbelievable. It was like one of those moments where I'm like, man, if I, remember this, which I probably will remember it for a long time. It was great. But and I love Space Mountain. Over at California Adventure, obviously Radiator Springs Racers and the whole Cars Land area. I think they did a great job theming that, and love that area. And I love what they did to. At first, we were all kind of, not happy that they were changing Tower of Terror over to Guardians of the
Mhm.
Galaxy Mission Breakout. But I think they did a really good job, and it's actually one of my favorite rides. And my kids, I think it's their favorite ride in the whole resort. They love that ride. So those are few of some of my favorites, but I love it all. It's
Same.
great.
I love it too. Well, for me, it's the opposite because I grew up going to Walt Disney and grew up, but I mean, like I discovered Walt Disney World more when I was like in college, and I've been going since. But I've just discovered Disneyland in the last like 5 years and just can't get enough. So it's the new thing for me, and I'm just like, oh, it's so great.
It is a cool park.
It's so fun.
There's so many attractions at Disneyland. You forget. I mean, it's a little more condensed. One thing I really like about Magic Kingdom is how spread out it is and how easy it is to get around compared to Disneyland. But Disneyland is great in the sense that they have so many. Oh, and Indiana Jones, I didn't mention that,
Yep.
or Rise of the Resistance. The list goes on and on, right? But it is such an iconic park with so many great attractions, so many great images. The whole area around Matterhorn, the submarine lagoon, Autopia, even though they may not be my favorite attractions, I love, how that looks, and some of the views you get from that area are really cool. So it's great.
I'm just slightly disappointed that you did not mention the greatest Disneyland attraction, which is Rancho del Zocalo, but I will let you pass on that.
Great food there. Great food at Rancho del Zocalo. Boy, if you get on the topic of food, I can just start listing off.
Oh, the food's so much better at Disneyland. It's just
Jolly
everywhere
Holiday
you go.
Bakery,
It's so good. Yeah, exactly.
Mango
Oh,
barbecue.
yes. Yeah, I
It's
even like
great.
the little roast. I call it the roast tavern, but it's the roast
Yeah,
tavern. Whatever. It makes people make fun of me
in
because I say things wrong.
Fantasyland.
Anyway, so real quick, because we got to talk about your trip, but there's one thing I want to get to even before that. You ran Dopey in 2019 with your brothers-in-law. So just 5 minutes or so, because just this time last week, people were sweating it out for, again, marathon weekend registration. I promise you, if you've never done this, is more stressful than doing the races in January. Just trying to get into these races will get your heart rate going just as much as towing the line. So how did you decide to all do this, and how was the experience for maybe some folks that are looking at 2025 for their first Dopey experience?
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So I mentioned my two brothers-in-law. These are my wife's brothers, and so as I said, I married into this family, big Disney fans, and we run together. We run races together. And one thing we've always wanted to do is run the Dopey. And we just made a decision. We'd never been to marathon weekend, never ran at Disney World, but it was just something we always wanted to do. So, year ahead of time, and actually, I won't get into a lot of specifics, but I had a coworker that actually was able to sell me some of his DVC points, and we
Nice.
got into Beach Club,
Oh, that's a good place to stay.
which was incredible. So we kind of planned this out years in advance, but back then because it wasn't like a year that had a lot of significance as far as an anniversary or something, it was a little bit easier to get in. I think that Dopey sold out maybe within a few days. It wasn't like
Oh,
sold out immediately like it is now. So we did get in like the morning that it opened up in 2018, got right in and got it, which we were grateful for. And then we just started to train, and I've never trained harder for any series of races than we did for Dopey. And you experience it in the Midwest. You get into winters in November, December, it gets pretty severe. But we were out there in the snow running, trying to get our miles in, and getting ready for this trip. But the trip was incredible. I mean, one of the most amazing. It was probably the most amazing running experience I've ever had at a race. One of the most amazing Disney trips I've ever experienced. And I feel bad because I didn't have my kids with me, is my wife, but running those 4 races and doing the challenge and experiencing that was amazing. I've never seen a series of races that were better supported from a support standpoint. The staff, the volunteers were incredible. The start of the race was incredible. All the opportunities to see characters were really, really cool. And as you're aware, and being able to run in Magic Kingdom
mhm.
in the half and the full, and running through the castle, and this is back when they had the I call it dream lights. Was that right? When the castle would
Yep.
be lit up
Yep.
with all the lights. Back in 2019, they still had those lights, and they had them on for race weekend. So being able to be there and race through the castle with the lights still on from Christmas was just amazing. So, and then and all of us ran. So our spouses ran the 5K with us. We had one of the spouses run the 10K. Being able to do that with with close family friends, and enjoying the parks. Like, people thought we were crazy, but since we rarely get to Disney World,
Got to take advantage,
we
right?
yeah, I mean, we run the races in the morning, and then we hit the park, and we try and get back to our hotel at a decent time to get rest. But it really was actually really good to walk and stretch out our
Mhm.
muscles, and be able to prep for the next day. But we had trained really hard for it, and so we were able to do it with it's never easy to run a marathon, right?
No,
But we
no.
were able to do it without too much difficulty. And then that day at Epcot, it was cool because since our wives were at the beach club, they just walked in from International Gateway entrance. They cheered us on, I think, when we ran into the area in the UK, and then they went down to closer to the
down by
finish
Spaceship
line.
Spaceship
Sorry.
Earth, closer to
finish
finish
yeah,
line. Okay.
and they saw us twice. So we went around, and I still remember seeing Snow White in Germany, and I remember yelling out, "I go, you're a sight for sore eyes," because I knew I was only like a half mile away from
yes. World
and
Showcase is wonderful.
Yes. That. but being able to then we finished the race, we got our medals, and then we went into Epcot. We took some pictures. We went on to Frozen in our running clothes. I still remember it, in our medals, and then we walked out to Beach Club and got cleaned up and spent some time in the jacuzzi, which at Stormlong Bay, which was great. Then that night we went into to Epcot, had an amazing meal at La Hacienda, and then watched Illuminations. It just was awesome.
That's a Run Disney weekend right there, though. I mean, you just like, come on, make the commercial.
That's right. And like I said, since we don't, and then we spent a little more time after the races were over and went to a couple more parks. But since we don't get to Disney World very often, we really packed it in. But it was such a memorable trip, and one that and we've talked about doing Dopey again. Hopefully we can. A little tougher for us to get down there, and we have kids in college now. And next time we said, hey, let's take the family, but second week in January, kids are back in school. It's a little bit tougher. So we're still trying to figure out the logistics of that, but hopefully we'll be able to do it.
I'm glad you shared that, because so many people are anxious and excited, and you have all the emotions about Dopey coming up here in 2025, and that's just gets people amped up for it. I'll be doing it again. I don't know why I keep signing up. I know why I keep signing up, because of what you just described, and it's the friends that I get to see. It's like my big reunion every year. And I'll tell you, my family used to come over marathon weekend, but they don't anymore because, my wife's a teacher. It's really hard for her to get out of school right after Christmas. Mallory's got cheerleading. Paige is up in Chicago running her basketball team thing. So I get to go down. I have the freedom, to do this on my own. So, but it's at this point, it's just like it's basically a big family reunion with all my friends. We all get together and run it together, and we're going to have a good time. So I'm glad you got me pumped up, though. I mean, I'm getting older. It's not easy on Sunday, but I don't go as fast as I did 5 years ago. But man, is World Showcase beautiful when you get back to World Showcase.
It's so cool, and I mean, just those memories of running around World Showcase, and in the 5K it was dark.
Yep.
Later it's sunlight, but being able to run through any of those parks. I mean, running through Animal Kingdom during the marathon was cool. And then as you're aware, and I know they changed the course a little bit, but I remember running into we talked about this for a long time, but running into Hollywood Studios in that back area kind of there by Tower of Terror, when you've only got about 3 miles left in the marathon, they were passing out Coke, Coca-Cola,
mm-hmm.
and then like candy bars,
yes,
like miniature like Halloween candy.
Correct.
And I can't tell you. You're sick of the gels, right? You're sick of the Powerade and everything. To get like some soda and some chocolate.
Well, see,
awesome.
They have stopped giving out the soda. They give out they still give out the chocolate bars. Now they're Dove.
Okay.
They're little Dove bars. But right after that, they give out Powerade. And I'm on a mission now. And there's a PhotoPass person right around the corner. So there's 3 whammies here. I call this the whammy zone. And if I'm running with somebody or near somebody, I tell them, hold on to your chocolate, because you're going to get Powerade coming around the corner. And there's one thing that's terrible. If you have chocolate and Powerade, that is the worst combination. Like it's like a shocking reaction in your mouth. Like Powerade and chocolate do not mix. And then what happens is you come around the corner, you're on Sunset Boulevard with the Tower of Terror behind you. There's a PhotoPass person. And then you have like chocolate on your teeth with like Powerade, and you're like trying to smile, and now you have a mouthful of chocolate. I mean, literally they hand it to you like 1 minute before. You're 23 miles into a marathon. You already look like you've been through the ringer.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's almost humorous that they do that too. It's like they're setting you up just for the worst picture ever. So I'm just
Oh,
like,
that's funny.
just hold on to that piece of chocolate. You can eat it when you get back out, by the bus stands because you're only, you're right there. Anyway, let's talk about your trip though, because I'll make sure we get this is the focus of all this. So you went down to Walt Disney World for the trip we're going to talk about. Kind of a sports trip combination with a Walt Disney World vacation, correct?
That's right. So a few months ago, we looked. My daughter plays for a club soccer team, and we were looking at the schedule, and it looked like they were going to be at a soccer showcase in early March in Bradenton. So I talked to my wife and I said, "Hey, and this will be her last year playing soccer. So and so we've been wanting to see her. When she travels, we try and get to where she's playing. And I looked at that and I said, what if we combined going to see her play soccer with a trip to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary?
Oh, nice.
And it would be kind of like a combination, right? They're not close. Bradenton and Orlando, despite what I thought, initially, aren't that close together. So we had to kind of figure out how to combine the soccer and the trip with my wife to Disney World. And it was great. It all worked out. But it was kind of one of those combination trips where we spent some time seeing our daughter play. And then my wife and I went and enjoyed the resort and the parks more on the back half of the trip. But yeah,
So-
it was great.
So it wasn't like, okay, because I was under the assumption that maybe it was like a showcase at Wild World of Sports. So this was something. How far is Bradenton from Walt Disney World?
It's about, depending on traffic, and I learned obviously a lot of lessons on this trip. I had no idea how bad I-4 traffic gets. So initially, when I looked at the map and kind of mapped things out, I kept thinking that Bradenton was really close to Tampa, and it's about an hour south of Tampa. So I had to, on paper, it looked like it would be not difficult, not easy, but not necessarily difficult to go to and from. But it all worked out. But it was something where, some days it was a 2-hour drive to get there. And we did spend, we made it so part of our time, we weren't staying on property yet. We were staying at a property outside of Orlando when we did the Epcot after hours, which I'll get to in a minute. But and then we stayed down in Bradenton one night when she had 2 games in a row on the weekend. So although we were driving kind of back and forth, we weren't doing it every single day. But it was, I did learn a big lesson on how bad I-4 traffic gets. So, listeners or people that live in Florida are already probably aware of that. But this is a big eye opener for us. Fortunately, we, had a rental car, we had podcasts to listen to, and I don't mind the travel part of it. We just had to time everything appropriately.
So Bradenton is in the state of Florida. We
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah, Bradenton. So you've got Tampa, and you've got just south of Tampa, you've got Sarasota and Bradenton. They're kind of on the coast. And you got St. Petersburg north of that. So they were playing soccer at the IMG facility in Bradenton.
Now you're talking about
nice
language. Yep, I know IMG from football. Yes. Yep. From all the training. Yep. Okay. So real quick, was it a successful showcase? I hope for your daughter.
It was good. So they lost some games and they won some games. Yeah. The good thing is they won. They won. It's always nice to end on a good note. They won their last game, which was great. So we got to spend some time with our daughter. That day we actually traveled back with her to Orlando. She was able to. We didn't have time to go to the parks, but we were able to take the Skyliner, go to Beaches and Cream, get some ice cream before she flew home with her team. And then my wife and I stayed an extra few days to celebrate our anniversary. But they had fun. They played hard. They played well. Good weather.
Hey,
and so it was fun.
And she got Beaches and Cream. Come on now. She got to be with her team. Come on. That's a win. You got to see your parents. You got to see her. From a parent's point of view, anytime you get to see your kid, especially you get to see them do their thing. Now if we go see Paige when her team passes through St. Louis or anywhere close, Springfield, Missouri, we travel to Chicago a couple times, see them play. It's a cool thing to see your kid do their thing. So awesome.
Really fun.
Let's talk about your Disney stuff so we get this in, because this is why people are here. And so lead us off. Like, what were some of the highlights of the trip? You guys, when you stayed on site, you guys were at Caribbean Beach?
That's right. Yeah, so it was an interesting trip. So like I said, it was kind of like the first half was focused on soccer and going to and from Bradenton. The last half of the trip was at the resort in Caribbean Beach. But when we looked at the schedule and looked at kind of what we wanted to accomplish, we knew based on the schedule and everything, her last game was going to be on Monday, and the other games were Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we checked into Caribbean Beach on Sunday and we're there through Wednesday, and that was kind of our focus of the resorts, but our focus in the parks. And we wanted to, when we looked at what park, we knew we wouldn't be able to get to all 4 parks, so we decided which one was going to be left out. But then we realized that there was an after hours party, or an after hours event at Epcot on Thursday night. And so what we decided to do was do that on the front end of the trip. And so we went and saw my daughter play in Bradenton on Thursday early afternoon, then hightailed it back to Orlando. We had a hotel room just outside the Walt Disney World Resort in Flamingo Crossing. Are you familiar with that area? They're kind of by Animal Kingdom.
Yep, it's a new little area. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. We stayed at a Marriott there. And so we actually got to, as you're aware, the after hours event, you can arrive at Epcot at 7 p.m. So we wanted to time things to get there as soon as we could. Traffic on I-4 was horrible. So we got to our hotel, got our magic bands, everything, got ready to go to the parks, got to Epcot. And because we were there for the after hours party and people were kind of starting to leave the park, they actually took us, straight up into parking close to the front of the park. It was really nice. We didn't have to walk a long distance to get there, but you get there to these after hours events, you get a wristband on, and then you go in and, for 3 hours from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., you're there with, the rest of the crowd that is there, but, you can enjoy all the attractions, the food, everything. So we hadn't eaten because of the craziness of that day. We hadn't eaten. We got some food at Mexico. We went to Journey of Water with Moana, which I thought was really well done. We enjoyed that. And then we went to Germany because we had to go to Carmel Kuche. Is that how you pronounce it? That
You're asking somebody from St. Louis how to pronounce it. I call it Carmel Kuche, but who knows? I mean, you're probably better than I am with it. So
yeah, I'm not sure what it is.
We know what we're talking about. The caramel place in Germany. We'll go with.
Yes, they have great caramel corn and great dessert items. And I got this amazing cookie, kind of a whoopie pie, kind of a cookie.
I've had sandwich. That, and that thing is 11 out of 10. That thing is amazing. Yes, I had that
really
a couple
good.
trips ago.
So we went there, got the caramel corn, which we wanted, and then we staked out a spot. I was really excited to see the new fireworks show, Luminous. And I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet. It's really good. I mean, obviously, I have a soft spot in my heart for Illuminations. Never got to see Harmonious, but Luminous was terrific. And we got a spot kind of there. I still call it Future World, but they're kind of at the base of Future World, looking out across World Showcase, where America is across from you, because we wanted to be able to hightail it to the rides when the fireworks are over. But great show. I would say it's a lot more, I think, Illumination's a little longer, but Luminous is a little shorter, but great use of Disney music and kind of that world theme, and some amazing pyrotechnics, like really good. We loved it. It was really, really good. We enjoyed that a lot. So once that's over, I mean, those who are attending this after hours party or after hours event are free to start riding rides. And one of the big things I wanted to get on was Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a big coaster fan, big Marvel fan, love Guardians of the Galaxy, and couldn't wait to go on this. So we literally walked from our spot where we saw the fireworks, walked to Guardians of the Galaxy, and my wife has, I know that you deal with some motion sickness. My wife gets motion sickness, especially like on Space Mountain things. So we decided we were going to go on it first, and then she would, see if she wanted to go on it again later in the night. But we got on it. It was everything that I hoped it would be and more.
It's amazing. I mean, I'll give it that. I mean, I have no way downplaying this ride. This ride is amazing. It's just my body just is not made for this kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we got off, but my wife's like, you know what? It was great, but I need a break. So I went right on it again. And I basically walked onto that ride twice. And I'll get back, once I kind of, I'm through talking with Epcot, I'm going to tell you about how I feel about the value of this option, but I think it was well worth it. But I got on that twice, and then and it was great. And then we started just going around to all the attractions. They have every major attraction open, so we basically walked on to Test Track, walked on to Frozen Ever After twice, got on Ratatouille twice,
Wow.
both walk-ons, and then Soarin'. And by then we were ready to go on Guardians again. And I think that was kind of the most everyone there wanted to end that event with Guardians. Oh, before I
Right.
get to that though, one of the appeals of this event is the free food they offer.
Yes.
So they give out bottles of soda and popcorn and ice cream novelties, and that was great. It was so good. In fact, when at the Canada Pavilion, they were passing out that maple popcorn they have there, almost like a kind of like a kettle corn, but maple flavored. So it was great. So then we ended that event going on Guardians again, and my wife was ready to go on it again, and it was great. So, I mean, we got on, the price you pay to for this type of event. The fact that we got on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 times, which for some that would be difficult unless you get in the virtual queue and
Right.
get an individual lightning lane.
It would almost be impossible
for it.
actually during a regular park day. It would be close to
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So we got on that, all the other major attractions, more than once, and then all the food. And this was our Epcot day, right? It was, and I feel like it was so kind of like it was an add-on. We'd already got kind of our park passes for the rest of the trip, but we were able to just tack this on to our trip. And as my wife and I talked, we thought, in future trips, when we go with our family and we're kind of planning things out, we'd love to plan this type of event, whether it be at Epcot or Hollywood Studios or Magic Kingdom, because the appeal of this is you can enjoy a day at your resort, relaxing, swimming, resort hop, enjoy the resorts for what they are, and then head to whatever park you're going to that night and get, many rides on major attractions without a long wait, the food. It was something that my wife and I enjoyed so much that we would actually try and plan a trip around knowing that one of those nights was happening and try and go again and do it. It was that much fun.
That's super cool to hear, because what you're getting too is, it's a condensed park day. You're getting a full park day. Also, you're not getting it in the heat of the day. I mean, that's something to be said for that. You're not battling the 3 o'clock afternoon sun. You're doing it in a more comfortable part of the day, which is night. You're getting that exclusivity. You're feeling more like that VIP feeling of I can walk onto things. I'm getting snacks. I'm getting refreshments when I need them. I don't have to pay out. I've already paid for them. And just, not having to battle crowds. I mean, just the mental taxing of not having to think, just, I want to ride this. Okay. I'm just walking on, there's not the mental, tiredness of trying to figure things out. It's something to be said for when you can, because you wouldn't do that every night of a trip. It's not offered every night of a trip, but that one night, can say, like you said, it gives you a resort day. You buy back time, I think, as well, like you said.
Yeah, and everyone was in a great mood. It was just fun to be around. People were in a great mood in the queues, and hats off to the cast members. They were fantastic, and they were, even though they were there late, which obviously may be kind of hard for some of them, having worked a long shift or whatever, they were fantastic for the whole thing. So accommodating and so great, and they made the experience all the more enjoyable.
Shout out to the cast members. They make the magic for all of us. We appreciate you guys being out there, everybody. Thank you for doing that. All right, so let's talk about, real quick, because you're at Caribbean Beach. Let's kind of get a review. What did you think about the resort itself for the purpose? Because you guys were there, Skyliner access, the hotel itself. What'd you think?
Yeah, we liked it. So I will tell you this. So we'd been to, we stayed in Pop Century before the Skyliner. And then the last big trip we did with our families was back in 2021. And we stayed at Art of Animation at a Cars family suite, which we really liked. And the Skyliner had just opened. And we loved it. We absolutely loved it. And so that was something that we wanted to try and have again. But we thought, hey, it's our anniversary. Let's maybe try Caribbean Beach. And we really did enjoy it. I will tell you this. I'd done some research prior to booking and everything, and everyone mentions if you want to utilize, if you want to get the one thing that's a little challenging about Caribbean Beach is its size. It is a
Hmm.
huge resort.
It is. It's the big.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's the biggest. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so getting around can sometimes be difficult. And so we wanted to try and be by the Skyliner, and so I put in a request to stay in the the Jamaica area or Aruba. Um, and we ended up when we were at Magic Kingdom actually when our room wasn't ready until like 3-4 o'clock. We got a indication on my phone that said we're staying in Martinique.
Yep.
Looked at the map and Martinique was about as far from
It's
the Caribbean beach Skyliner as you
yeah.
could get.
It's
So
close to
initially we
the,
were a
it's
little
closer
bit
to the
sad.
Riviera Skyliner station though.
Yes,
I was gonna say you gotta think about it that way.
and we love the Riviera, and we were planning on going to Primo Piatto and visiting that and enjoying Riviera, and so it ended up being really well. The nice thing about Caribbean Beach is it's the hub, right? You don't have
Mhm.
to get off and get back
Yep.
in line, but it ended up being just fine. It really was bad. It was just the two of us. We didn't mind walking a little extra, but the night we did the day we did Hollywood Studios, it was just nice because we just stayed on the Skyliner, got off at Riviera, and then just walked through
Yep.
Riviera back to our place in Martinique, and it was great. So I will. The other things I would mention about Caribbean Beach, it was really quiet. It was very nice. I was used to kind of staying at Art of Animation and Pop Century, which are very. I love them, right? But they're louder. A lot
Mhm.
of high school kids, a lot of
Lots of.
families.
I always say lots of energy.
Yeah, lots of energy, which isn't a bad thing,
No, it
right? It's
isn't.
not
It
a bad
isn't.
thing.
But yeah, there's a lot going on.
But it was nice that it was so quiet, and so we loved our room. Our room was great. It was one of those refurbished rooms, very well designed. We thought very tastefully done. The beds were very comfortable, and so we liked it. Easy to. We had a rental car until we turned it in and got and used transportation to get back, but easy parking. We were able to park close to where we were staying to get in and out of our with our luggage was great. I actually thought the bus, but and we would and we'll get to this in a minute. But we were major rope droppers. We were there early and leaving late. But the bus transportation was actually I thought really good. That was one of the things I heard that was a negative with Caribbean Beach because of all the different bus stops with all that because it's so big. But we didn't have an issue with it, and maybe it was just the times we were going to the resorts. But it was great. They ran continually, and we never felt like we had to wait very long for them. We didn't get a chance to go to Sebastian's or Banana Cabana or some of the other things. We've heard really great things about that. So if we do end up getting back to this resort, we want to try some of the dining because we've heard really good things about it. But even though we weren't at the resort a lot, we really did enjoy staying there.
Yeah, it's a nice place, and like you said, for the Skyliner, it's great being on the hub because you miss that extra jump, like from Art and Pop, where you got to get off, get back in line. So it
Yeah,
just
exactly.
saves you, a few minutes here and there, but it adds up over the few or four, 3 or 4 days. All right, so because I'll make sure we get all this in here. So let's talk about your times because you guys, like you said, you rope dropped, you guys went hard in the parks. It sounds like you also looks like you guys use Genie Plus, so maybe you got some strategies that worked. Maybe you learned some things on this trip that might help our listeners. So tell us about your days in the other parks, Magic Kingdom, over at Studios, Animal Kingdom.
Yep, sounds good. So Magic Kingdom outside of the Epcot After Hours event, which was earlier in the trip, Magic Kingdom was our first event. That was actually the day that we were checking into Caribbean Beach, and we had to leave our hotel at Flamingo Crossing. So we wanted to rope drop Magic Kingdom. So we were getting up really early, checking out of our hotel, getting to Caribbean Beach, and they were fantastic as far as getting us in, getting a pre-check-in. Our room wasn't ready, obviously, but we were able to leave our luggage actually in our car locked up. But then we just hopped on a bus, went to Magic Kingdom. We were one of the first ones. Actually, we were the first ones with security.
I see. I
was
love
pitch
that.
black.
We would get along so well because I'm early bird every time. Like Ricky gets there at noon. I'm like, how do you do that? You missed the best part of the day. You're slipping away. Yeah. So, yeah. We get
Yeah, I
along.
mean, it's interesting because we were there for our 25th anniversary. You'd think that we'd have time to relax, but it really was a trip where we were doing a lot of driving, a lot of getting up early, a lot of late nights. But the thing that's awesome is my wife is just like me when it comes to this. And because we don't go to Walt Disney World very often, we just want to get as much out of it as we
Right.
can.
Exactly.
There will be a time when maybe in the future we just we don't combine it with with sports or whatever, and we're there just the two of us for an extended period of time. We're able to relax more, sleep in more, enjoy it. but this was all about getting as much out of the experience as we could. So we literally got on one of the first buses to the Magic Kingdom from our resort, got there, one of the first ones in security, obviously got through the park. And it's interesting because because it was spring break time. And I think that the park opening was 8 o'clock, which meant that early entry was 7:30, which meant that they opened the gates at 7, right? You just had to keep going backwards in time to get to what you want to do. So we were on our phones getting our virtual queue for Tron as we were kind of walking towards the front gate to go through to then get into the mass group going to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
That's how you set yourself up for success, because you're in front of the first wave. You are going to be like, you know what I'm saying? Because it is all about being in the front of the crowd from the get-go. People don't understand it till you do it. It's tenfold benefit for the rest of the day if you want it to be.
And even though it may feel like there's a lot of people around you, you get that group of people, you know, dispersed into the park.
Yes.
You really are still able to get a lot done in 2 or 3 hours, which is what we did. So we were able to score. We looked online and looked at all the tricks on YouTube of how to score virtual queue. My wife actually we got group 10 or something on Tron that morning, but we were able to go in and be part of the masses going to Seven Dwarfs. We really tried to say, okay, you know, let's not, if we can avoid getting having to purchase an individual lightning lane for that ride, let's get on first thing. We did. It was great. We loved it. And we didn't have to wait very long. And then we hit Space Mountain. And then it was time for us to go to Tron. So we went to Tron. I've been watching this thing be built for, you know, the years that it took them to build it. I actually followed it. I mean, I love following the you know, as these parks are being built. And so I really followed when Shanghai Disneyland was being built because of all the new attractions there. One day I'll get there, but obviously Tron was something that I watched be built for years there. And then when they announced it for Magic Kingdom, I was super excited to go on it. And it did not disappoint. It was fantastic. In fact, it was a little easier to ride for my wife than Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was a lot shorter, obviously, but it delivered. It was a lot of fun. We loved that. And then from there, we just started hitting rides and then balancing. And one thing I learned, you know, and we have Genie Plus at Disneyland.
Yep.
So obviously we use that, but being able to stack Genie Plus lightning lane reservations for later in the day was great, because you can, you know, look at when you have pockets of time and you know what's available and really stack as much as we could. And so we were really getting good at lining up all those attractions. And Jungle Cruise is something that I don't believe is on Lightning Lane at Disneyland, but it's very, very popular at Magic Kingdom. So we were able to jump on that and get that for right after lunch. And then we were able to get a bunch of other stuff right after lunch. And so it just was basically, by the time you hit afternoon, we've been on almost all of the rides we wanted to get on. And then it was just, you know, Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, and we were able to get on everything we needed to. But it was a great day. I will tell you this. I tried, I've always wanted to try some of the snacks that I've always heard people rave about at the Magic Kingdom, but never had a chance to try. So one of the things we wanted to do was get to Sleepy Hollow and try that waffle with the Nutella and the fruit.
Yep.
That thing delivered.
Okay,
that
I was going to ask. I've never had that one. I've had I always get the chicken one.
The chicken, we want to try that. We haven't tried it yet. But, you know, we've been there since like 6:45, 7 in the morning. We're starving.
I was going to say, yeah, you guys you got to have a fourth meal at some point this day.
So we used mobile order, which we love, got that, totally hit the spot. And then for lunch, I'd actually gotten an ADR for the Grand California.
I was like, wait, you're on the wrong coast.
Grand Floridian Cafe.
Oh, I love that place. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was great. We loved it. And it was nice to get off our feet, have a soda, have a really nice meal. They have a great burger there. We loved our meal there. One thing I didn't realize when I got the ADR is it was a Sunday morning. And I guess Sunday brunch there is like the big time for people to go to the Grand Floridian. So even though we had an ADR, we had to wait 30 minutes, which wasn't a big deal. It was fine. And then once we got in, the service was great. We were able to get back and take the monorail back to the park to get to our next lightning lane. But it was just a great day. And we really did everything we wanted to do. We even had time to FaceTime our kids later. And even though the park was pretty crowded, the one thing I love about Magic Kingdom that maybe we don't get as much at Disneyland is there's so many areas that are little nooks away from the action. And so we found this place in Adventureland. I can't remember where it was. I just don't know the park well enough, but there was practically no one there. And so my wife and I were able to get on and FaceTime our kids and just be in a quiet, secluded place. And it was awesome. So we had to end the day. We've seen, when we were here for marathon weekend, we were able to see Happily Ever After. And I remember how much I loved it. And so we got a cheeseburger spring roll and the spring roll cart there at Adventureland, and got our spot about a half hour ahead of time and watched Happily Ever After there in front of the castle. And it was amazing. It still is one of the best fireworks shows I've seen at any park. It was great. But I will tell you this is a shout out to you. We watched the fireworks. I think, I forgot one other thing. We wanted to get on Tron twice. And so we were able to score a virtual queue for the morning, but then we were able to get on and get an individual lightning lane for the evening. And I really liked how you were able to go in and reserve right when you get on at 7 a.m. You're able to reserve the time that you want.
See, I've never done it at night, and I want to do it at night, because you're getting ready to say it's better at night, right? It's got to be better at night. It looks so cool. Yeah, exactly.
It is cool. So what we did is we did it right after fireworks. And so we'd done it. We'd experienced it early in the day. We were able to experience it at night after the fireworks. So we wandered over there. And I will tell you this, it's still a great attraction whether you ride it during the day or at night. But at night, you do get the canopy lit up.
Yes.
You get all the lighting that goes as you're going through it. And it's really, really cool. So we enjoyed doing that twice. But we kind of had that big midday meal. And then we kind of snacked. We got a Dole Whip float, and we got the cheeseburger spring roll. We were hungry. We'd been at it so early that day, and we wanted to go by Friar Nook's and get one of their tater tot loaded things, but they were closed. Oh. And so my wife said, "What's open?" I'm like, "It's open, Casey's Corner." Yeah. And so and we know what you like, and so I said, "What if we got corn dog nuggets?" And my wife's not a big corn dog fan, but we were so hungry, we're like, let's do it. Went there, mobile ordered, big line out the door, but I mobile ordered, and it was great. I didn't have to wait in line or anything, and those tasted so good. We got it with the melted cheese, you dip it in,
yes,
and it just hit the spot.
Got to give you the bell on that one. Yes, I mean, and that's coming from somebody that is a Disneyland person, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, home of the best corn dogs in the world. Just telling you.
Oh yeah. Little Red Wagon.
This is great. Legit. This is a legit endorsement, people, right here on the show.
It was
today.
Awesome. Thank you for the tip on that.
I love that. No, this is awesome. No, that sounds like a wonderful, wonderful Magic Kingdom day. And my gosh, you guys went all out. And I mean, were you just exhausted? I mean, you guys obviously are in great shape and very active lifestyle. But I mean, at the end of the day, once the final note of Happily Ever After hit, were you like, whew? I mean, well, because I mean, you guys kept going after Happily Ever After. You went and rode some more rides, but I mean, when they closed the park and they started to sweep you out of there, were you guys just like, man? Because
we were wiped out, kind of on adrenaline, I guess you could say, from everything we did. But we got, what was nice is by the time that we rode Tron after Happily Ever After, then got corn dog nuggets and walked out. The park was starting to really thin out. But we were able to walk up to the bus, and there's a Caribbean Beach bus waiting for us. And we got into a conversation. We met so many great people on this trip, so many nice people. We were able to visit with this family from, I think they're from Louisiana, and rode back and got back to room at a decent hour. That next morning was the last soccer game, so we had to drive down to Bradenton, see her play, and then drove back with her. But it was great. It was like we'd had this awesome day at Magic Kingdom, knocked that out of the park, got in the car, went and saw her play, were able to spend time with her at the resort on Monday, and then we actually took her to Primo Piatto for dinner before she flew out that night. So that was kind of our off day. And then and then we prepped for our next day, which was Hollywood Studios, which was the Tuesday, and we hit that hard as well. And we do you want me to go ahead and go right into that,
Yeah,
Mike?
let's hear about it because we got about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure we get
Awesome.
all this in because I'm living for this. This stuff is great. Yeah, let's go studios.
Yeah, so we walked to the we wanted to go to the Caribbean Beach Skyliner stop just because it takes you right into Hollywood Studios, right? It's so convenient. And I'll tell you a really funny story real quick. We got in line. We were second in line at the Skyliner there before they opened the gates. We started talking to the people in front of us, and we were just asking where they were from. And I go, "Hey, where are you guys from?" They say, "We're from Southwest Kansas." And I started thinking to myself, I'm like, "What's in Southwest Kansas?" I have a nephew that lives in Garden City, Kansas, and I think that's in Southwest Kansas. And so I said, "Hey, yeah, I have a nephew that lives in Garden City," and they're like, "That's where we're from, is Garden City." I go, that's great. That's so crazy. I go, "You wouldn't happen to know a Jared Kuhlman there?" And they just, their jaws dropped, and they pointed to their 8-year-old son and said, "Toby, my nephew's son, is best friends with their son."
What are the chances?
So,
That stuff happens more than you would think at Walt Disney World. I've run into students down there. I don't know what it is, but like I've heard that happening to so many people, and it is the odds of that happening is crazy. Now you say that another person, that's remarkable. What are the chances?
it was really cool. And so I took a picture with him and sent it to my nephew, and
He's
got
probably
a
what?
kick out of that. That was really fun. But and we met. It's interesting. We were at Rope Drop Magic Kingdom, and later in the trip, we were walking off Pandora after going there for Rope Drop, and ran to the same family we were in next to at Rope Drop at Magic Kingdom. We were just laughing about how we were both just hitting it hard, getting all the same tips. But it was fun to run into all these great people throughout the weekend. But got on Skyliner, got to Hollywood Studios, got there for Rope Drop. Big crowd there, but and actually it worked out pretty good. We'd heard that Rise of the Resistance, it's about a 50% chance that the ride is open.
It's cranky.
At-
You're
at early
hedging your
entry.
bets. Yeah, if you're going for it, you're gambling, man. But it could pay off, right? It's a gamble. Yeah.
So what we decided to do after reading a bunch of stuff is like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our very first Lightning Lane with Genie Plus for Slinky Dog. We're going to get run out at 7:00 and get a reservation because we heard that that sells out fast. And as much as I think that's a fun ride, it's also a miserable queue if you're waiting it for longer than an
100%.
hour. You're there in the sun. There's not a lot of shade. We're like, let's get that Lightning Lane so we don't have to wait in that long queue, and then we'll just kind of work around the rest of the schedule. So we 7 a.m. got on, and it's interesting. We got on right at 7:00, and our Lightning Lane for Slinky Dog was 3:30 p.m.
Holy
We'd
cow.
heard that the day we were at Hollywood Studios was so crowded that sold out within minutes. Just Lightning Lane. And so we're glad we got it when we did, but we headed to Rise of the Resistance. Of course it wasn't open yet. So we had to pivot. So we pivoted and went ahead and got in line for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And there was a group of people that were in line, and they opened 15 minutes before early entry officially opened at 7:30. So they opened at 7:15, got on that great ride. We'd been on it before when we were there in 2021, but they didn't have, because of COVID, you weren't allowed to gather and watch the pre-show with the screen that blows up in the movie. It's a lot more fun when you're able to see that,
Right.
and see Goofy and everything, and then go through. And so love that. It was great. Wanted to make sure we got on Tower of Terror multiple times in this attraction in this park because my wife, well, we both do, but we love Tower of Terror. It's one of my wife's favorite attractions. So we beelined it there and got in line for that. That hadn't opened yet. So by the time it opened, we were just able to kind of walk onto that. We walked. It took us a while to get through and get on it, but it wasn't more than 15, 20 minutes. And so we jumped in line again, got on that again, and then we were able to get on it later in the day using Genie Plus. So it was great getting there at Rope Drop, Mike, because you're able to get on all these rides, and then even though the parks are crowded and Genie Plus is clogging everything up, you're still able to time everything out to get on everything else you're not able to do at least once throughout the day.
Well, too, and
And
the way I see it too, not to interrupt, is like you're playing with house money later in the day, right? Because you've already had the initial, like I've ridden Tower of Terror, at 8:15 this morning, where everybody else at 10:45 in the morning still fighting for that first bite of the apple on Tower of Terror, and you've already been on it. You know what I'm saying? Like you've already hit, Slinky Dog. You've been on Tower, so it's different perspective. You're going back for like a second shot on things a lot of times.
Yeah, really, what it comes down to for us is getting there at rope drop, hitting all these big rides, and then we purchased Genie Plus because that gives us the chance to get on everything else that we either didn't get on earlier or get on one of those earlier rides at least one more time without having to wait in a 120-minute line, because literally that's the day it was at Hollywood Studios. It was so crowded. You look at your phone and you're looking at the wait times, and things like Mickey and Minnie's or Tower of Terror were 80, 90, 100, 110-minute waits. And so because we'd already been on them once and we had a Genie Plus reservation for later in the day, and again, we were able to figure out how to stack those reservations, which came in handy. We actually were able to enjoy the shows. And so I'd never seen the Frozen show.
Oh.
And so
what'd you think? What'd you think? Because you guys were there just a couple, no kids.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I mean, here's the thing. So we hit all these rides in the morning, then we start making our Genie Plus reservations, but they're like later in the day. So we have time to kill, right? Mm-hmm. And we're like, you know what? We've never seen this Frozen show. We've heard it's really funny. We hear it's like a different kind of a show with the people of Arendelle and all that. So we actually really enjoyed it. And it was nice because we were so wiped out. We were so tired from getting up early and doing it that we were able to sit down. It was nice and cool. The show was funny. They were really funny. But the talent was really great. It wasn't very long. Ends with "Let It Go" in the snow. So how can you end better than that, right? And we may have drifted off a couple times in the show because we were so tired.
I hear you.
But it wasn't because the show wasn't good. It was because we were so tired. But it was great to do that and enjoy that. We saw the Beauty and the Beast show, which we'd seen before. And then we saw the Indiana Jones show. And we actually, because we had an opening, we actually tried going to that earlier in the day, and it sold out. It was crazy. They say you can try and get standing room only, but we couldn't find. That's how crowded the stage was.
That's when you know it's crazy, because that theater is gigantic.
Yeah, it's huge. And so we actually timed things out that we were able to get a reservation to use an individual lightning lane, or sorry, not individual lane, a lightning lane for Indiana Jones, which allowed us to get really good seating later in the day. And I never expected when I thought of how this day would go that we would have to do that.
Yeah, that's wild that you said you had to use a lightning lane to go to Indiana Jones. That's spectacular.
Yeah. I just didn't expect it, but we had availability and we went ahead and used it and it was great. It was a great way to use Genie Plus for things that you don't expect, right? And so enjoyed that. I hadn't seen that stunt show in a while, and it really is a great show. It really delivers. So we're able to do that. We had a ADR for sci-fi, which was fun. Food wasn't as great as I remember it. I really like what my wife got. I didn't love what I got, but it's a great atmosphere there, and it was a lot of fun. And then we snacked a bunch and got. I will tell you this is kind of a good magic Disney moment that we had. Have you tried their Wookiee cookie?
I think yes, the cookie that has like the bandolier that across.
Yes,
I've had that. I think I had it at a media event one time or something. I've had it at some point in my life. I can't remember. It wasn't, for some reason, it wasn't remarkable. It was. But I eat a lot of cookies. I'm a cookie fiend.
Yeah, it was good. So we had that back in 2021. My kids loved it. It was a soft oatmeal, it was a sandwich cookie, right? It had a soft oatmeal cookie and then this like vanilla filling inside, and then the chocolate bandolier for Chewbacca. And we remember how much we loved it, but I'd read online that they'd changed the recipe and it wasn't quite as good. So I went. It was a Backlot Express. I walked up to the counter, and I asked the person there. I said, "Hey, I just have a question. I really wanted. You know where I'm headed with this.
Do you have a Wookiee cookie under that?
Yeah, I go. I was going to ask her. Okay, I heard they changed the recipe of the Wookiee cookie, and she looked at me. She said, "Would you like to try one?"
No way.
And I thought she meant like a sample, right?
Yeah.
And she went down to the underneath the shelf. She pulled out a Wookiee cookie and said, "Here, it's on Mickey."
Oh man, you don't get that very often.
No.
The force was with you, young Andrew.
That's right. That's right. So we got to, and it was great.
You
It
should have
was
gone
great.
to
I
her
did
like
the
this.
10.
When you did that, you should have gone like nobody's, if you're listening on the treadmill or something today, you have no idea. I just did the force move. Like you just
Yeah.
used the force on the cast member. You will
If I was
you
thinking,
will
I
give
would have
me a
said the
Coke
force.
Zero with that.
If I was thinking, I would have said something like, "The force is strong." And we flew.
Exactly. That's awesome.
But
Well,
we were able to enjoy that.
well, I
Wookiee
mean, was
cookie.
it how was the Wookiee cookie? Was it good?
It was good.
Okay,
It was
good.
good. Maybe not quite as good as I remember it, but it was still really good. And we were at that point where we needed a pick me up, right?
Yeah.
So it was good. So without going into a lot more detail, we were able to get on everything we wanted at Hollywood Studios. We hadn't gone on Rise of the Resistance yet, and we have been on that ride before at Disneyland. It's a fantastic ride, and we really didn't want to. Well, we couldn't purchase individual Lightning Lane; they're all sold out. So we made the decision. We wanted to go to Fantasmic. They had two showings that night of Fantasmic. They had like an 8:30 showing and then a 10 o'clock showing. The park closes at 10 o'clock, so we made the decision. Okay, let's go to the late showing because we heard that the seating is a lot easier to get good seating for the late showing, and then we'll try and get on Rise of the Resistance while people are going to the early showing of Fantasmic. So we actually were looking at our phone, and and Rise of the Resistance had gone down to a 90-minute wait. So we said, "What the heck? Let's go ahead and jump in line, see how it goes." We ended up waiting 45
I was
minutes.
supposed to say, I've heard that at the end of the night they inflate the wait times on Rise, so
Yep,
don't buy into it. Jump in, and you're probably not going to wait what it says.
it was awesome. It was a great ride. The queue is great because it's shaded and it's interesting and it's fun. We ended up doing it twice because we went on it once. We went to ABC Commissary and got their buffalo grilled cheese,
Oh, that's
and
my sandwich right there. Now you're talking.
that was great. I think we hit all the good things. Hollywood Studios, and that meal was great. And then we looked and it had gone down because it was right then. It was Fantasmic. We jumped in line again for Rise of Resistance and waited only 25-30 minutes for it again. So we got on it twice in standby, which we were really felt lucky to have that. But then we eventually got up to Fantasmic. It was awesome. I mean, I don't know if have you had the chance to see Fantasmic at
That
Disneyland?
was going to be my next question. Yes, and I'm a huge Disneyland Phantasmic fan. But that's what I was going to ask you because it's so intimate. Like you're up close, and I mean, bottom line, pirate ship. Like, boom! I think so. Scott took because first time Disneyland, I was out there with Scott, right? And he's been there a bunch of times before me. And he had us right up under that tree, right? I mean, right up on the rail watching Phantasmic in the summer of 2022. And I did not see that pirate ship coming. Like I was drawn to Mickey. I was watching Mickey across the way. Didn't see it. I don't know how I didn't see it. I mean, the thing's as big as like the Titanic coming in. I don't know how I didn't see it. And all of a sudden that cannon goes boom. And I mean, it was maybe 50 feet from me. I probably came 6 feet off the ground. It scared me to he was dying laughing because he was just watching me because he knew it was coming. Because I mean, they don't have that in the Phantasmic in Florida. I mean, my heart skipped a beat. I for real thought I just got shot. Like it was so loud, but it was the best part. And then all these there's like 100 pirates on that ship jumping around, sword fighting. I mean, it's so intimate and close. Like I love how, of course, you got to stand, which isn't ideal, but it's a great trade off. But again, it could be newness because I've seen Fantastic so many times at Walt Disney World. What's your perspective? I don't know.
Yeah, so I love what you just described because you really are so close to the rivers of America when you're at Disneyland. The one difficult thing is you really have to plan your time out correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go when we go to Disneyland, we'd often go with my brothers-in-law and their families. So there's a big group of us, and so we're literally having to try and save a big chunk of
Right.
real estate for our families there. But you do it, you sacrifice, you get there way in advance to get it. Later, we figured out that there's actually a great spot up at just outside the stagecoach, right there, kind of where the food stand is there, where you can sit up at those tables and overlook Rivers of America there. And so the last couple times we've gone, we've sat there and watched it, which is great. But everything you said about Fantasmic at Disneyland is exactly why I love it. You're up there close. You really feel like and that cannon goes off. And even though Mike, I've seen it so many times, thing makes me jump every time.
But when
Even
you
when you
don't
expect
see it coming, man, it really got me, man. I'm telling you. Oh man, my heart skipped. I for like 30 minutes I was shaking. Because
There's
it was so close. Like literally, it was like 50 feet away. I'm not joking because we were right up on that rail. And I did not see that chip. I am not good at observing things apparently. Like you could rob me easy because I mean, it was like a 200-foot ship sneaking up on me and I didn't notice.
and it's just so well choreographed, right? There's so much to see. I mean, your eyes are just darting around that ship. I mean, obviously your attention. Well, it was Peter Pan, then it was Pirates of the Caribbean, but Jack Sparrow running around doing stuff, and the, there's never a dull moment going
No.
on, and it's just spectacular. And then you've got the Mark Twain right at the end with all the characters
Yep.
on it and the fireworks, and it's great. I will tell you this about what I love about Hollywood Studios. I love being able to just sit down on a bleacher and having this great view. You can sit, you can rest your feet. You don't have to stress about people standing up in front of you or trying to get around people. Especially, we didn't have kids obviously when we went this last time, but and I will also tell you this: I really love the additions they made. Right, they changed that whole middle portion of Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios that used to be Pocahontas, and they've turned it into that kind of hero section with um, Moana and Elsa and Aladdin and Hercules, and it's really well done. So we really enjoyed it. They're both great for different reasons, and but obviously, if I'm telling people, if I'm talking to someone who's going to Disneyland, I'm like, if they're showing Fantasmic, that'll be a highlight.
Yes.
And you have to make the effort. You have to get there early. You have to put in the work, but it's a payoff. It's great.
It is 100%. So well said. It's a shame that it's gone so long because of the fire that so many people had to miss it over the past year, but I'm glad it's going to be back here next month. I can't wait to see it again because it was remarkable. It was so neat. So we have just about 5 to 7 minutes left. I'll make sure we wrap this here shortly, but just give us highlights, maybe Animal Kingdom and maybe a couple of the highlights.
Yeah, you bet. I'll tell you one other thing real quick, and I'll get to Animal Kingdom. One thing that was nice about staying at Caribbean Beach, I'll say, is being able to. We had a bit of time in the middle of Hollywood Studios where we had a break, and so we actually took the Skyliner back to Caribbean Beach to our room, and actually we're going to have such an early morning the next day going to Animal Kingdom. We're able to pack up and get a bunch of stuff organized, so we wouldn't be up so late that night.
Good call.
Which was so convenient, and so. For that purpose, I really love the fact that that's where we stayed. It worked out well. So when we got back from Hollywood Studios that night, we were pretty much all ready to go the next day. We didn't have to stay up late and pack and get ready because we had to check out the next morning. And Mike, Animal Kingdom opened at 7:30 a.m. That was their main opening, which meant that early entry was 7 a.m. Another super early morning. But we were flying out that night. And so we were only going to spend about 2/3 of the day at Animal Kingdom before we had to get to Caribbean Beach, get our Uber and get to the airport. So we were hardcore again. We got our luggage to lobby, took it to Bell Services, they were awesome. Took the bus to Animal Kingdom, again got there with the beginning of the crowd and got into the park. And I happen to love Flight of Passage. And so we made the decision we were going to rope drop that with the rest of the crowd. But then we instead of getting Genie Plus Animal Kingdom, we actually just got an individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage, so we could get on that twice. And we didn't need Genie Plus. We got there so early that we got on Flight of Passage, went immediately to Navi River Journey, walked onto that, then got onto the safari. And it's great, as you're aware, the safari is great early in the morning because you see a lot more animals. The animals are out. We actually did that twice. We waited a little bit longer the second time, but we did not need lightning lane for that. And then it was just a matter of hitting anything else we wanted to hit. We got on Dinosaur, which I'm glad we did because it looks like that's
probably your last time.
It's on the chopping block. And as much as Indiana Jones is better, it's still a fun ride. I like Dinosaur. And then my wife does not love Expedition Everest, and so she was able to sit and read while I went on single rider line. And I got on it 3 times, like, with a very minimal weight. And we had an ADR for Yak and Yeti, which we both love. We love that restaurant. So we really got on everything we wanted at Animal Kingdom. And then by 2:30, we were able to get back to our resort really easily, get our luggage, and head to the airport, and we head back home. So like I said, Mike, it was action packed, but we got everything we wanted out of this trip and then some. It was so much fun.
I hope you guys rested at the gate when you guys got back to the airport or something. Like the bottom of your shoes were probably smoking when you took them off at TSA. I mean, you guys didn't stop.
Yeah, it was. We actually got to the gate a bit early, and it was nice to just completely completely decompress and relax. Because we did not get a ton of sleep this trip. But I look back on it, we just had a great time. It was a great way to spend our 25th anniversary. One of the first trips that she and I went on as a couple was to Disney World. So to kind of bookend our, the beginning of our marriage with where we're at now at 25 years, it's been great.
Well, Andrew, man, what a great trip report. I mean, what a great way to start the week. And just want to wish congratulations to you and your wife on 25 years of marriage. And I love that it's about family. I could tell with you, getting down there to see your daughter in her showcase and support her in her athletic endeavors, and combine that with, an opportunity to go with your wife and make some new memories over there at Walt Disney World, and get to, squeeze every hour out of that vacation when you're down in Florida. You're preaching to the choir here on our show. This is what we all want to do. That time down there is precious, and we want to make the memories with those that we love. And that's exactly what you did. And, I've had a smile on my face the last, hour and a half as we've been talking. So I really appreciate it. What a great way to start the week, and hope the rest of the spring and the summer and the year is awesome for you guys out in Utah.
Appreciate it, Mike. Same to you and your family.
All right. Well, don't forget today's show, always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We're standing by to help you plan a great Disney vacation, whether it's out to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line Adventures by Disney. We'd love to help you this week. So just swing by and check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It supports us when you purchase anything online. Just click through beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all this possible. You can support us at just $5 a month, and you get the bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Coming over this week, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike, and you can check me out on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram. And I want you to come over and join us in the Clubhouse. We have a new thing. It's called the Be Our Guest Podcast Clubhouse. It is our Discord server. We have conversations going on 24/7. I can hear people posting on it right now because the alerts are going to my iPad. It's over at beourguestpodcast.com/Discord. We talk about everything: Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Cruise Line. But more than that, we talk sports. We talk just about our everyday lives. We talk about, securing, we have a place for DVC owners. We have a place for international parks. You want to talk Disney, you just want to meet friends in the Disney community, that's the place to come visit. So come on over, beourguestpodcast.com/Discord this week. We're waiting for you. I'll give you a personal welcome. I promise you that. Also, Sunday night, it's the BOGP open line. We open up the phone lines. You get to be a part of the show right there. 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. So that'd be 4 o'clock out your way, right? Are you guys Mountain or you guys Pacific out there?
We're Mountain.
Mountain, so it'd be 5 o'clock your time. Look at this. That's right. All kinds of confusing, but hey, 7 o'clock Eastern, adjust for your own time zones because we have people all over the world. But we're going to be taking your calls. It's the BOGP open line. Scotty G joins me, so give us a call Sunday night. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. All right, time to get out of here and wish you an awesome week. I hope it's a productive one and hope it's a fun one for you. So let's make it so. So for Andrew out in Utah, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.